Thailand will have to face a longer wait before it gets a new prime minister after frontrunner Pita Limjaroenrat failed to secure enough support to claim the premiership. Despite being unopposed in the contest, the Move Forward party leader was hit with a host of abstentions and votes against him, falling short of a simple majority of 375. A second round of voting has been scheduled for next Wednesday. The eight-party alliance led by Move Forward must now decide whether to back Mr. Pita again or to put forward another candidate. This could test the coalition's unity as it seeks to form the next government. The prime ministerial hopeful was dealt a major blow on the eve of this vote after a Thai court agreed to hear two separate complaints against him and his party.
For the latest, we go to our correspondents in Bangkok for more on this. First off, Saksith, is this the end of the road for Mr. Pita? What's his path from here?
Not quite. It's not quite the end of the road yet for Move Forward party leader Pita Limjaroenrat, even though the vote on this day has not been in his favor. There were more abstentions and no votes against him than there were yes votes. So this is going to be a daunting task. It has already been quite a daunting task for him. But it's not the end of the road yet. We already know beforehand that Parliament has earmarked two more sessions next week on Wednesday and Thursday, and that is where they're going to vote. On this day today, on the first day, that has been quite a day where, there have been 6 hours of deliberations before that, with Pita pitching himself as the next prime minister for Thailand, the 30th of this country. But there has been a lot of opposition, a lot of headwind against him. Yes, this was supposed to be a job interview, but it became more a cross-examination from the opposition, in some parts even a show trial against him in the liberal progressive agenda of the Move Forward party. So this is going to set the scene, and it's also setting the tone for the days to come. And it's going to be even more harder for them to get the votes. Pita Limjaroenrat has spoken to the press earlier. They're saying they're not giving up, but they are admitting that it is going to be a very hard road ahead.
Not giving up, but it's the unity of this eight-party alliance that's in focus now. It's also hanging in the balance, isn't it? What are the main challenges to this coalition? What is it facing going forward?
At the very least, on this day during the vote, the opposition, the coalition, the eight-party coalition led by the Move Forward party has mostly stuck together. For example, the second biggest party, the Thai party, they all voted in favor of Pita. So that is definitely a good sign of the stability of this coalition for now. And as you just hinted, there may or may not be grumblings in the background, reconsiderations, considerations, whether or not to swap out Pita already at the second vote. But according to CNA information is that at the very least for the second try next week, they're still going to go with Pita. Whether or not beyond that, and especially after he fails the third attempt, whether or not they're going to change out with somebody else, maybe with somebody from Thai, for example, that remains to be seen. But overall, in Pita's speech concluding remarks, he said that he hopes the decisions by the lawmaker reflects the hopes of the people and not the fears of some individuals. 2 months of the elections, the hopes of the voters have not been reflected just yet.
All right, thank you, Saksith.
And May, let's bring you now because you are standing with supporters gathered outside Parliament. How have they reacted to these results?
Well, they were extremely disappointed with what happened, but they were also not surprised at all, given the fact that they pretty much knew that many of the senators, for example, and also MPs from the other side were not going to cast their vote for Prime Minister in terms of choosing Pita Limjaroenrat. So they walked away here today rather upset. But they say that they continue to cling on to that sliver of hope. And that's the reason why also some of them are still milling around here. Earlier, you saw a lot of them out here because they were monitoring the results that were happening in the House via a big screen that you can see behind me. It might be a little bit small, but at the end of the day, you've got speakers now actually going through and talking about the session as well as the discussions that went on earlier in the House. Earlier as well, when there was a roll call for the MPs as well as the senators, one by one, to vote or to not vote for Pita Limjaroenrat. Many of them were very emotional. The ones, obviously, when they heard Hein Cho, meaning, yes, I will vote for Pita Limjaroenrat as the next Prime Minister, drew massive applause and cheers. On the other hand, when the MPs or the senators stood up to say, my Hein Cho, that means they do not support Pita Limjaroenrat, then that's where the crowd gathered here also started getting very angry, started jeering. And so you had two sides of the camps here in terms of, their emotional reaction towards that. And the final point here also the fact that there were a few particular votes that people were watching out for. One was by Deputy Prime Minister Prawit Wongsuwan, who was an ex-military man. And when he voted no to Pita, they all broke out in terms of jeers and in terms of anger. But on the flip side, when Pita Limjaroenrat himself raised and said, yes, I will vote for myself, they all broke out in cheers, in massive smiles and also extreme glory. However, as we have heard from Saksit, he is not the Prime Minister today. He will get another chance, possibly on July 19th.
May, given the emotions that you have just described, is there any concern that the results today could trigger protest across the country?
The hope is obviously not to elicit even more violence. Thailand had already seen violence before. And in terms of perhaps at least a year ago, we have seen how the people came out to disagree with the government that was led by Prayut Chan-o-cha. But now with this new government, they're hoping that the senators inside, the parliamentarians, will actually hear the voices. And they're out here actually extremely close to Parliament. If you can see right over there across the street is actually where Parliament is. Well, unfortunately, this is where they can't go due to security reasons. And Move Forward, as well as other activist groups, have told the people to please stay calm, to please not get too aggressive. However, if Pita Limjaroenrat does not become the next Prime Minister, well, you can't put it past the fact that the people are going to get even angrier. They are going to be very frustrated because throughout the session today, they've already heard all the accusations against Pita Limjaroenrat to say that he's going to destroy the nation, saying that his radical ideas of wanting to amend the Lèse Majesté law is going to cause problems for the country. The Move Forward supporters are saying, no, he is primed to be the next Prime Minister. He is fit and qualified because that's why the May 14 results have shown. But that's the situation right now in terms of whether or not they're going to come out even more, not just here in Bangkok, but in other provinces around the nation. That we will have to keep an eye on.
I will certainly be keeping an eye on all that. Ni Wong reporting live to us there from Bangkok.